Hello everyone, and thanks for being here with us today. In this video, we'll discuss how SoftScanner bridges the gap between abstract conceptual quality goals and the concrete technical observable data needed to assess them. So let's dive into what this challenge actually means and how to overcome it. So quality goals such as performance efficiency or user engagement are usually defined in broad conceptual terms. However, in order to assess these goals, usually we would have to collect, let's say, technical data that could be observed from the application, such as CPU usage statistics or click events and HTTP request counts, for instance. So this disconnect between these two worlds creates a challenge for us. Uh, while some technical stakeholders like developers can capture raw data and understand it, like click events, they might actually struggle to see how these figures translate to overall quality in terms of quality goals. Meanwhile, non-technical stakeholders like business analysts, let's say, define quality in abstract terms and they manage to understand it. However, they may struggle to see how these goals can be translated to concrete technical observable data to evaluate them. But even assuming that stakeholders are both conceptually and technically well versed to understand both goals and data, mapping them together can be both time consuming and error prone. So without a clear, systematic, and automated mapping between goals and data, assessments can become inconsistent and even inaccurate. So how do we address this challenge? Well, SoftScanner addresses this gap with the SoftScanner quality mapping model. This model introduces goal to metrics mappers that systematically map each quality goal to specific measurable quality metrics and in turn to the precise observable data required for their assessment. So quality metrics are simple quantitative measures that can be computed from the collected data and that we identified based on existing literature on quality assessment. So consider the user engagement example here. I'm going to zoom a little bit to see more in details. So as you can see, the user engagement goal over here is a composite goal and can be refined into three sub-goals, themselves being leaf goals, which are popularity, activity, and loyalty. And you can also see that for each sub-goal, we have specific metrics that will be used in order to assess it. So for popularity, we have number of users, for instance, whereas for activity, we have something like user interaction frequency per user. Now you can also see that all of these metrics actually connect to the necessary data that will be used in order to compute them. So if we take a look at the number of users metric over here, you can see that actually connects to the user metadata, which is provided by user interaction traces. Similarly, you can see other metrics that depend on more than one type of data, such as user interaction frequency per visit over here, where you can see that this metric depends on both visit metadata provided by the user data part of the user interaction traces and interaction events themselves provided by the interaction data part of user interaction traces. So each metric, as you can see, could be linked to different kinds of data, and as such we can see that we have a clear and automated mapping that goes from quality goals all the way down to the necessary data required to assess them. And this makes the assessment process much more transparent and consistent for all stakeholders. So now let's check the SoftScanner platform to see how these goals are actually mapped to their metrics and data in practice. So in this scenario, we assume that our stakeholder is interested in assessing user engagement for their application. And as we can see, we already provided all the necessary metadata for the application. It's already set. Now, all we need to do is look for user engagement, which we saw was a sub-goal of interaction capability, and simply select it accordingly, along with all of its sub-goals, obviously. So let's start the assessment now. And let's see what happens in the back end. Now, if we examine the server logs up close, we can see that for each subgoal we selected, we have its corresponding metrics. So here you can see, for instance, activity, which is mapped to all of these metrics, whereas loyalty is mapped to these metrics. And if we move upwards, we will see that at the level of user engagement, we have all of the metrics mapped to user engagement from its subgoals recursively, because it's actually a composite goal. Now, if we take a look at how these metrics are defined in SoftScanner, we're going to see, for instance, for activity, let's look at QIFU metric. You're going to see that for this metric, we have explicitly stated the necessary observable data required for its computation. And then in the computation, we actually make use of this observable data in order to compute the UIFU metric. So in conclusion, by systematically and explicitly linking conceptual quality goals to specific technical data, SoftScanner automates how quality is measured and ensures that assessments are consistent and reliable. So this approach empowers both technical and non-technical stakeholders to make informed decisions, and it bridges the gap between abstract goals and concrete measurements, reducing the risk of misinterpretation and ensuring that quality assessments are both accurate and consistent. In our next video, we'll show how SoftScanner minimizes performance overhead during data collection through its selective instrumentation strategy compared to an existing general purpose tool. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.